Hello, this is Samaritan on behalf of Project Legal Renaissance, and I'm going to give you a review of Michael Morey's latest documentary, uh, Where to Invade Next. It was produced in 2015. This is an interesting documentary that propagates the idea that the United States is spending way too much on its military, and a lot of this could be used, in fact, to finance a lot of, you know, a lot of other social programs, and these social programs could then like make US much better place to live in than, in fact, you know, these the extraordinary spending on military and the military invasion that they have undertaken. So what Michael Morris says is that he goes around the world, okay, with the American flag, um, you know, looks at one of the good ideas in that country. Let's say, for instance, for France, which has a good schooling, nutritious food being supplied to children in school. So he looks at it and says that, yeah, okay, basically takes up that idea and says that, yeah, it's a wonderful good idea, and yeah, I'm gonna take it up, and then he puts up the flag there and says that, yep, I've conquered this idea for America and I've conquered this country. So yeah, he goes here. It's Italy. So first he goes into Italy. Yeah, that was quite funny. Looks at the work hours the Italians have. Uh, you know, which is just 6 hours, and a lot of paid holidays. They have 2 hours of what to say? Yeah, they have 2 hours of uh, lunch breaks. And what Morris says is that despite that, they have the highest productivity, one of the highest productivities in the world, which actually shows that if Americans do the same and allow for paid holidays, life is going to become wonderful, right? And then he talks about a bunch of other things. Say, for instance, what happens in France, where children get really nutritious food, right? Really nice and nutritious food, and and how American children get shit. Also, the kind of education system that French have is extraordinary. Now he conquers the land in France. Yeah, that's how he's made this documentary around this whole idea. Then he walks on to yeah, the next part of Europe that he wants to conquer, which is Finland, and he looks at their education system, which is quite appreciable, and he just says that, yeah, how wonderful it is. He looks at it that children being actually taught to think critically and being taught a skill set that is important to living, than to simply pass a standard test. Okay, a standard test as in case of the United States. He also looks at other things like, yeah, okay. So after Finland, he moves on to the next country, which is Slovenia, and looks at their free university education system and says that how compared to the United States, when most of the people are debt-ridden, most of the students are debt-ridden. Okay, this is a beautiful country of Germany when it comes and see. Germans have got just 6 hours of work, and after work, your boss cannot probably call you. If he calls, that's a crime in Germany. So yeah, he basically compares it to the condition in the United States, wherein workers have to work with long hours, have two jobs, and also talks about the fact that Germany still has a very nice, great, and amazing middle class. Then he goes to Portugal, no regulation of drugs, talks about it, and also proposes a very interesting idea. In fact, this is something that I think I should be doing a little more research on. Well, he says that in many of the countries, in many of the states of the United States, those drugs that were used by black community were made illegal, and blacks were punished for that. You know, I mean, like, there were long prison sentences, and those blacks were not allowed to vote even after they came out of the prison. And because they're not allowed to vote when they came out of the prison, his idea is that that's the reason why Republicans are winning in many of the states, right? Had it not been the case, Republicans were winning, and it was also a form of free labor. Let's say a new slavery in American society, because these labors then again being used by, uh, you know, American corporations to pay their service for as low as 27 cents an hour. I mean, like, those are really disturbing things, and we have to look at them. Then it comes on to, yeah, amazing Finland, where people get amazing prison sentences. I really want to, I really want to look at their society. It's interesting how they reform people, and yeah, he conquers this idea. So this idea of very lenient prison prisons that are whose main objective is to reform people and not to have some form of revenge on them, seems to be really working in Finland. Um, well, after Finland, and yes, the society sticks to the idea because um, they punish all sorts of criminals with that. Not they're not selective in their approach, not at all selective in their approach. And then we go on to the next country, which is Tunisia, talks about women's rights, maternity rights. Then Iceland, wherein they again talk about women's rights and how they have become women. And in fact, it's a very feministic approach, but yeah, it seems to be working in Iceland, and it seems to be working around the world. And also how Iceland punished the bankers for the wrongs that they did, and something that was not done by the United States. Then he goes around the world, and he finally says that yes, these all are extraordinary ideas. These all are amazing ideas. These ideas are adopted in countries and US has a lot to learn from them. But the fact is that they all originated from the United States of America. The paid holiday idea, or the idea of, let's say, punishing the bankers, that they were punished back in the 1980s for irregularities in saving schemes, the good education system in Finland. Ideas all popped up in the United States. The United States just did not adopt it. In fact, women's rights, the first movements were done in the United States. So it's the United States when the ideas popped up, but they never took it up. So what he concludes is that US has to adopt these ideas of social security, social empowerment, and do away with a lot of spending on war that it's been doing in order to make its people live a happy life. Because if it does not do so, well, things are not going to be nice anytime soon for the United States of America. So, according to me, it's a little problematic. It's a little problematic in the sense that, well, whatever he's doing is a lot of motivated by to a great extent, yeah, to a great extent motivated by a political ideology. It seems as though, he is saying the standard Democrat narrative. I mean, what he's saying is basically just what Democrats have to say, and something which comes for slavery. The whole idea that the drugs that have been used only by the black community, let's say for crack cocaine, and some of the drugs were made illegal, is not totally true. And also, he's showing these countries best aspects in isolation. So, say for instance, he does not go to an average prison initially in Sweden, but goes to the best prison that has been made for people with good behavior, which is inherently problematic. Also, he looks at very limited things in Tunisia, also gives a very video of a very liberal Islamic cleric. So there are problems with it. It is biased. So when he's trying to portray the condition of the United States, he gives the worst possible example. And when he's trying to portray the condition of the European country that he's talking about, he tries to portray the best example. So say for instance in case of Italy, right? He's just giving an example of limited number of places, not and in case of United States, again the worst examples, even though really good examples exist. So I think on that account it is a little problematic. It's a little problematic and it's a little false as well. But not to say that his points are entirely irrelevant. US is doing an extraordinary spending on its military budget, and a lot of things can be done about it, right? So we can conclude that, yeah, there is a lot of bias that Nakamura puts in it, but his point is well taken that US has to decrease some of its military spending and spend on social security so that life of your citizens becomes a little better. Thank you for listening to Project Lego Renaissance. We really recommend for you to watch this documentary. We'll really try to put in a link if it's available for free on YouTube. And it's an awesome documentary. Just really get to learn a lot, right? Awesome. Have a great time, guys. Thank you for listening to me. I'm Samaritan. Bye-bye.